Asbestos lawyers are legal professionals who specialize in representing individuals and groups who have been harmed by exposure to asbestos. Asbestos is a naturally occurring mineral that was widely used in various industries for its fire-resistant and insulating properties. However, prolonged exposure to asbestos can lead to serious health issues, including lung diseases such as asbestosis, lung cancer, and mesothelioma, which is a rare and aggressive form of cancer that primarily affects the lining of the lungs and abdomen. Asbestos lawyers work to help victims of asbestos exposure seek compensation for their medical expenses, pain and suffering, lost wages, and other damages through legal action. Their main tasks include case evaluation. Asbestos lawyers review the details of a client's situation, including their exposure history, medical records, and the potential sources of asbestos exposure. Legal research. They research laws, regulations, and precedents related to asbestos exposure and its associated health issues to build a strong legal case. Filing lawsuits. If deemed appropriate, asbestos lawyers file lawsuits against the responsible parties, which could include asbestos manufacturers, distributors, employers, and property owners. Negotiations. They engage in negotiations with defendants and their legal representatives to reach settlements that provide fair compensation for the victims without the need for a trial. Trial representation. If a settlement cannot be reached, asbestos lawyers may represent their clients in court, presenting evidence and arguing their case before a judge and jury. Class action lawsuits. In some cases, asbestos lawyers may work on behalf of a group of individuals who have been similarly affected by asbestos exposure, leading to class action lawsuits. Compassionate support. Asbestos lawyers often provide emotional support to their clients, understanding the sensitive nature of their cases due to the severe health issues involved. It's important to note that asbestos-related legal cases can be complex due to the long latency period between exposure and the development of related diseases. Therefore, individuals seeking assistance from asbestos lawyers should look for experienced professionals who have a track record of successfully handling such cases. If you or someone you know has been affected by asbestos exposure, it's advisable to consult with a qualified attorney to explore your legal options. Certainly, here's some additional information about asbestos lawyers and the broader context of asbestos-related legal matters. Types of asbestos cases. Personal injury claims. These cases involve individuals who have developed health issues due to asbestos exposure seeking compensation for medical expenses, pain and suffering, and other damages. Wrongful death claims. If a person dies due to asbestos-related diseases, their family members or beneficiaries may file a wrongful death claim to seek compensation for their loss. Mesothelioma cases. Asbestos exposure is a primary cause of mesothelioma, and lawyers specializing in these cases focus specifically on representing mesothelioma patients and their families. Establishing liability. Asbestos exposure cases can be challenging because exposure might have occurred decades before symptoms appear. Establishing liability involves identifying the sources of asbestos exposure and demonstrating that the responsible parties had a duty to protect individuals from harm but failed to do so. Asbestos trust funds. Many companies that were heavily involved in asbestos production have gone bankrupt due to the numerous lawsuits they faced. As a result, they established asbestos trust funds to compensate victims. Asbestos lawyers help victims access these funds and ensure fair compensation. Statutes of limitations. Each jurisdiction has its own statutes of limitations, which set time limits within which legal actions must be initiated. Asbestos-related diseases often have a long latency period, so understanding the applicable statute of limitations is crucial for filing a timely claim. Regulations and legislation. Governments have implemented regulations and legislation to manage asbestos exposure and protect individuals from its harmful effects. Asbestos lawyers stay updated on these regulations to provide the best legal advice to their clients. Medical expertise. Asbestos lawyers often collaborate with medical experts who can provide insights into the connection between a client's health issues and their asbestos exposure history. These experts may testify in court to support the client's case. Compensation and settlements. Compensation amounts can vary widely depending on factors such as the severity of the illness, the extent of exposure, and the defendant's liability. Lawyers aim to negotiate fair settlements that adequately compensate their clients. Global reach. Asbestos-related issues are not limited to one